The fact that 6 police officers have been criminally charged in the death of Freddie Gray in Baltimore is remarkable because of just how rare it is for police officers to face charges when suspects die. Convictions are even rare. Take a look. In South Carolina, where Walter Scott was shot in the back, killed by an officer, police have fired their weapons at 209 suspects in the past 5 years, yet only 3 officers have been accused of misuse of force, and not one has actually been convicted. That's according to an analysis by the state newspaper. Now, these numbers are hard to come by because there's no national comprehensive database that documents how many times officers shoot or kill someone. Recently, the Washington Post and researchers at Bowling Green State University analyzed police shootings nationwide. They found that since 2005, only 54 officers have faced criminal charges after fatally shooting someone in the line of duty. That's out of thousands of fatal shootings by police during that period. And when officers were actually charged, in 80% of those cases, it involved special circumstances like the victim was shot in the back or there was a video recording of the incident. Now, of those 54 charged, just 11 officers have been convicted. Well, legal experts will tell you that the bar to indict a police officer is extremely high and that police are often given the benefit of the doubt. Joining me again, CNN legal analyst Sunny Hostin. Also with us, legal analyst Mark Geragos, a criminal defense attorney, also former NYPD officer and a former Secret Service agent, Dan Bongino, and CNN legal analyst Jeffrey Toobin. Mark, do you believe that juries give the benefit of the doubt and prosecutors give the benefit of the doubt to police?
Absolutely. It's without question. Police officers truly get a presumption of innocence, whereas most criminal defendants don't come in with any presumption of innocence. You're swimming upstream. And usually in a police prosecution, and they're few and far between, if juries are given, or if they ever make it to a jury, because usually a judge will toss the case at a preliminary hearing or a grand jury will refuse to indict, so you never even get to trial. And jurors just do not come in with any belief whatsoever that officers can commit a crime. They just don't.
Dan, do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree at all. We have to take into account the fact that you're talking about police officers who understand that a police shooting could be the end of their career like that. This isn't like Wild Bill Hickok, where people go into these scenes looking to engage in a shootout. I was in law enforcement 16 plus years on the federal and local side, and I can tell you everyone I know that had been involved in a shooting, it was the worst day of their life, continued to be the worst day of their life. Most of them were civilly sued. Their lives were ruined. They had nightmares about it. I had one who told me straight to my face, he said, you know what? I took away everything that guy was ever going to have, and I'll never forget that. So acting like somehow that this is an anomalous statistic that very few people are convicted, given that so few even want to be involved in these situations, and when they do, they avoid it, I don't see anything anomalous in that at all. And I'm not saying
Did you take a look at those numbers? Those numbers are pretty daunting.
Right.
I defy you to take those numbers and apply them to anybody else or any other cognizable group. If it's police officers who are shooting people, and the only time, look what happened in the last case. There were police reports that were written. If there was no video, that officer never would have been charged. Ever would have been charged.
You're talking about in the Walter Scott case.
Yeah, never would have been charged.
You don't know that.
I know that based on 35 years of being in the criminal justice system and reading the same script that officers put for every shooting.
You can only speculate. I know he was charged. You're trying to prove a counterfactual.
Do you remember what the police report said? Do you remember how they covered for each other? Did you see how they were planning evidence? Did you see how they said they wrote the same script, which is he was reaching, I was in fear for my life, there was a struggle? It's a script.
I rarely agree with Mark Geragos, which most people know.
But
he's right about this.
You guys have made a career of not agreeing.
He's right about this. I think that it is very difficult to indict a police officer. I think that prosecutors who work with police officers day in and day out are loath to indict their friends when we know that it's very easy to indict a crime. Jeff, you know that. And I think that the only answer to it is to make sure that prosecutors are not prosecuting their own, that you have an independent prosecutor, and quite frankly, that you have an independent investigation. And we need accountability for officers that do discharge their weapons.
Wait a minute. Do you think there should be an independent investigation in Baltimore,
That was
too?
exactly my question. You support the state's attorney, what her bringing charges in Baltimore.
Well, you know, I think that the only reason that I'm more supportive of this state's attorney in Baltimore is because she said that she had independent investigators.
Right, but by the way, her husband's a politician in the district, represents the district where this occurred.
And to be sure, I think those criticisms of her are fair.
I don't think you can separate the fact that we live in an age of video. And, handheld video, very easy to take video, and that's the reason why a lot of these cases have come to the fore, because there are videos. I mean, Mark is right that it's very unlikely these cases would have been brought without video. But even with video, and even without a gunshot, I mean, remember Eric Garner in Staten Island? There was video. And there was no gunshot there,
and
there was still no.
And there was excessive
And do you know why
sure
in Eric Garner's case? Because you had a white prosecutor who knew how to stack the deck and go to a grand jury and not put it in front of a judge and not file that case. That was rigged from the get-go. That is, I mean, it's a rigged system. It's a rigged system.
Then he goes too far.
Exactly.
Then you go too
Mark
far.
left.
Because I have to practice it every day.
So you don't believe it's a rigged system?
I think that
'cause a lot of people believe the system is rigged.
prosecutors operate in good faith, but they also recognize the world in which they live, in which jurors are sympathetic to police, because most police are good people doing the right thing, trying to enforce the law as best they can, and the aberrational cases are aberrational.
Mark, a lot of police officers, when they hear you talking about this, will scoff and say, you'd be the first guy to call the police when you get in trouble, when you need somebody to show up at your house, you'd be, that's who you would call, and yet it's very easy to criticize.
I live in a community where the police are not at odds with the inhabitants of that community. It's why I'm there. It's why I raised my family there. I get that. I'm a privilege. I don't deny that for a second. I also, every single day, am in a courthouse, or most days, in a courthouse where all we do is process people of color for stupid drug crimes repeatedly, and I hear the same stories from the same clients repeatedly that could not have been, unless there's something in the ether, unless they're all drinking the same Kool-Aid, they could not separately come up with the same story about what police do time and time again.
You believe there's a script that they're
It's
reading?
Clearly there's a script. They go to a Police University 101, they tell them when you discharge a weapon, you got to say, that I was in fear for my life, he reached for my gun, blah, blah, blah. It's on every single police report.
Dan, you're shaking your head.
I just don't understand what's everybody clapping about.
Because they understand it.
Listen, I get that. No one here on the stage, no one that has been on this stage, nor I am making the case that police brutality and excessive use of force cases is not a very real phenomenon. No one. But the system is rigged. You had a guy.
Tell you why it's rigged.
Can I answer? Hold on. Can I answer?
Finish.
You have a guy in Tulsa, shoots a guy, thinks he's going for a taser. He's now under criminal charges. You have 6 cops in Baltimore being charged for depraved heart murder. You have another guy in South Carolina. You may say he wouldn't have been charged. The facts are he was.
But they are in the minority.
No,
they are in the
Sonny,
minority,
I get
Dan.
that. I'm saying that, but
we're
maybe,
talking about decades and decades of police brutality and excessive force.
Hold on, let me finish my point. Maybe they are in the minority because you're presuming that the overwhelming majority of cops are bad and not really good-hearted, decent cops doing the right thing.
This dispute you two are having is in the absence of facts. I mean, you don't know how many police shootings there are. We don't know. Well, I'm saying is that because we don't have good records for this.
And you know why we don't know? Because the FBI does, of course, try to get some of these numbers, but guess what? They rely upon the officers to self-report. Out of the 18,000 law enforcement departments all around the country, they are supposed to self-report. And that's the problem, Jeff. Not only is that the problem, we have our police officers investigating their own, and I would say 9 out of 10 times they say, guess what, we didn't do anything wrong.
Absolutely.
And that's the problem.
But it would not be that difficult to say every time police discharge a gun, to have to make some sort of report. I mean, most police departments, certainly the NYPD, which I used to work with, has very elaborate rules for every time a police officer discharges their gun.
The only way that there's any kind of a database
investigation.
is the analysis that you cited, which was the Washington Post article.